You're welcome back. Now, we've got a lot to talk about on AM Talk today. The latest Economic Intelligence Unit report has ruled out the possibility of an upset in the 2020 general elections, suggesting that the NPP will retain power. We'll be talking about that with our guests in a moment. But first, let me inform you that we will be taking you live to the Black Star Square, where quite a lot of activity going on. It's been set up as a sort of a secretariat to help deal with some of the problems with the allocation system for SHS. But as we speak, there are thousands of parents, guardians, and some wards who are there to resolve various issues that they've encountered since the start of the process. This is something that unfortunately has happened every year since the beginning of this automated system, and this year is no different. So we'll be going there live to speak to some of these very frustrated parents, and of course the officials who are there to solve these problems, to see how they are making progress with that. So stay tuned, we'll be taking you there for that. But let's get started here in the studio with AM Talk and our guests this morning. It's been a while since we had him. Nana Frido Ajimanu is a member of the government's communications team. He's here with Mohammed Abdul Aziz, who's the Honorable Member of Parliament for Myong. Gentlemen, how nice to see you both. Good morning. Thank you for making the time.
Good morning.
It's more the party communication, not the government.
I am with you. Okay. Okay. Party spokesperson. Okay.
Here with the
but
well, you see, he's going to try and find something.
Eventually, there's no difference
There's a difference.
whether you are speaking for party or
certain things.
there is a very thin line of distinction. So just accept it. Let's make
yeah.
it.
Well, I want to thank you both for making the time, and I think we've clarified the difference here between a party spokesperson and a government spokesperson. Yeah. But in the end, we're hoping that either way, you'll be able to lead us to some understanding of what we're picking up. Now, I've got the report here, and a number of things stand out. The summary page really goes straight to the point. Let me start there. The first bullet point under political and economic outlook on the summary page says the next national elections are due in 2020. The Economist Intelligence Unit expects the ruling NPP to retain power, as the party is seen as a better custodian of the economy than the opposition NDC. Straight to the point. I think that's the reason why I would like to start with you, Mr. Aziz. This is not the first time the EIU has called or sought to, predict the outcome of an election. Yeah. And I wanted to find times when they got it wrong. I wasn't very successful. I don't know if you have been in your research.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Nana. I haven't seen Nana for some time.
Too long.
Nana doesn't seem to be reaching out to me.
Operative word being crime.
Nana doesn't seem to be reaching out to me almost 3 years into their government.
Because now you do the crime without
and he's left with some 1 year and some few months to exit. And so, Nana, you have to make sure you reach out to me before the table set 10. But that was just on a lighter note. Speaking to the issue of the report from the Economic Intelligence Unit, let me be very specific that as a party, we would not be too dismissive of a research or a report from the Economic Intelligence Unit. We would not be too dismissive. But we, as a party, have done our own research, and we are convinced that the NDC is on its way back to power. I do not want to get into the issues of research strategy, sample size, sample methodology, sample participants, and what that is virtually in the area of research. But you talked about how successful that they have been in their predictions. I would want to state that the Economic Intelligence Unit their success rate is around 10% when it comes to predictions. And so you
is this
cannot
around the world or
yes,
in
around
Ghana?
the world, around the world, around
Okay,
the world.
but in Ghana, how often have they got it wrong?
In Ghana, I have not taken time to research into their predictions and how it has turned out in the previous elections. But what I do know,
But you research their world results.
Yes, to the extent that a committee of the House of Lords in UK had to call them to advise them to change their methodology, and that they were sowing seeds of confusion in most countries with their predictions, because when you predict that a particular party will win and the party doesn't win, it tends to fuel some troubles. And so there has been occasions where they have been cautioned by the House of Lords in UK, and so we would not place too much premium on that report. In any case, that report is not a new report. I'm surprised that people are speaking to the report as if to suggest that it was a report that just came out a week or two ago. That report has been around since May. Even the NDC and the NPP have had the opportunity to react to those reports somewhere in May. I think the NDC reacted to that report.
This is September 2019 report.
It's not true. It is an old report. I can get you the original report somewhere in April.
Let me simply tell you when it was published. It's right here.
And so all that I'm saying is that it is not a new report.
So permit me to clarify this so that our audience is properly educated.
Okay.
So on the briefing sheet, it says country, at the bottom of every sheet, it tells you when it was issued. It says country report September 2019, Economist Intelligence Unit Limited, 2019. So this is a September report. And it says forecast closing date, September 4, 2019. And it's been released by the editor, Nathan Hayes. So yes, it is a September report.
Kojo, I have a story here. That speaks to the same issue that was somewhere in April this year.
So this may be the second time this year that they are predicting.
And so I'm just trying to indicate that it is not a new report as we are being made to believe. It is just a rehash story, possibly just to give some confidence to the NPP and also to divert the public attention from what we have been discussing for the past a month or so.
Please, let's stay factual. Are you saying it's a rehashed report or a rehashed story? Because it's not a rehashed story. The report is a September 4 report.
I have a report here. If you don't mind, I'll just read it to you. The Economic Intelligence Unit's country report on Ghana, which was released on 13th of May 2019, stated a 6.3 year-on-year growth and predicted blah 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 blah. It was in that same report that they predicted a win for the NPP.
It's still different from this report we are referring to.
It's not. It's
a different report.
This
report is dated September 4. Please, let's not belabor the point. It's right there. It's on the sheet. September 4, 2019, so that we don't have to get confused.
And just to help out, one of the points it makes is that growth will be 5.9, not 6.3. So there's a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know in economics, a point...
Could I want you to read the story and that will settle the matter.
I don't doubt that the EIU may have made a prediction in May. What I'm saying is that the report we are discussing is a September report.
Well, I just want to indicate
factual.
that it's the same content. Both reports are making allusions to the fact that the 2020 elections would largely be based on the economy and that the NPP would win the 2020 elections. And so I still maintain.
Well, I don't have the May report in front of me.
Exactly. And so I don't want us to.
When Nana speaks,
I don't want us to
take the opportunity to point out any differences if there are.
But Kojo,
but it's a different report.
Well, I don't want us to belabor that point. If you want to know or if you want to gauge what the elections would turn out to be in 2020, the best people to speak to would be the ordinary Ghanaian, would be the trotro drivers, would be the people who have lost their jobs from the collapse of the banking sector, would be the beneficiaries of the so-called Free Senior High School, And so we would take inspiration from all this category of people, and not from the Economic Intelligence Unit that is located somewhere in UK and would want to make predictions. Look, in 2016, February, the Nigerian elections, the Economic Intelligence Unit had indicated that the PDP was going to win the elections. It turned out that President Buhari won with some over 3 million votes difference. And so there are series of even 2016, if you refer to the elections between Hillary Clinton and President Trump, the prediction was again that Trump was going to win. And so if I want to give you a catalog of predictions that has failed in respect of the Economic Intelligence Unit, I'm sure it will take us the whole day. The last two elections in Britain, issues that had to do with the Brexit, all these were issues that they predicted and it never came to pass. And so I'm not trying to downplay their work simply because it doesn't favor the NDC. I'm saying that we will take inspiration from the ordinary Ghanaian who take trotro, who knows that the cost of transportation has increased. The ordinary Ghanaian knows for sure that a liter of petrol that went for 3.6 Ghana cedis today is selling for almost 6 cedis. A dollar that went for some 4 Ghana cedis today goes for around 5.5 Ghana cedis. People have lost their jobs after the collapse of the banking sector. And so these are the real issues that affect the ordinary Ghanaian. And these are the issues that would inform the 2020 general elections. Ghanaians are aware that the government of President Akufo-Addo has borrowed over 80 billion, and yet they cannot show anything for that. They will compare that to what President Mahama did when between the period of 2009 to 2016, we had borrowed about 100 to 110 billion Ghana cedis, and Ghanaians can see visible infrastructure that we use those monies for. Ghanaians are witnesses to the daily corruption and scandals that we are recording under President Akufo-Addo. So this would be the very issues that would inform the outturn of the 2020 general elections. The NPP can begin to excite itself with the Economic Intelligence Unit's report on the 2020 elections. But as a party, we are more than convinced that the Ghanaian public and the Ghanaian electorate would want to see a change from what we are seeing today. And the only alternative, credible alternative to the Ghanaian public today is President Mahama and the NDC. And so we'll leave it at that. Let's see what happens in the next few days to come. But like I said, we are very much convinced that this government has failed, and the people of Ghana would not want to deal with a failed regime. And we have an opportunity in some few months to come to take a decision either to retain President Akufo-Addo or to bring in President Mahama. The legacy of President Mahama is there for everyone to see. Whether you are talking of the road infrastructure, the over $2 billion that we invested into the health sector, whether you are talking about the over 50 e-blocks that were commissioned before he left office. I mean, Kojo, Ghanaians will look at their situation and elect a president. Ghanaians will not be electing their president based on what some institution based in UK is saying.
Now, the former president in the final rally before the last election called on Ghanaians not to substitute what they know, the progress and the continuity, for promises from an entity that is unknown.
Yeah.
This time around, in the coming election, the people of Ghana have a different choice. They have two entities that are known. One of them that they have already rejected, that is seeking to be accepted again. Now, this report says that based on the perception of these two known entities, John Mahama will lose.
Oh, they are entitled to their opinion, but like I indicated, the outturn of the 2020 elections is largely going to be based on how the Ghanaian felt under President Mahama and how they are feeling today.
Okay.
We are in this country, we've heard the likes of Manasseh Azure indicate that the presidency of President Akufo-Addo is similar to paying for an iPhone only to go home and realize that you were given a bar of Kiso. You know, we have listened to Vitus Azim, a very renowned crusader when it comes to corruption and corruption-related issues, indicate that President Akufo-Addo and his government is the worst corrupt regime since the inception of the Fourth Republic. We have seen and heard Reko Brobe, who is a true party member of the MPP, indicate that this regime is corrupt and very corrupt. In fact, we have listened to the senior minister appointed by President Akufo-Addo indicate that corruption is choking this government. And so these are the very issues that would inform. Look, there is no election in Africa that is not informed by corruption and corruption-related issues. And so Ghanaians are going to compare some of the reported allegations of corruption and how President Mahama and his government reacted to them to what President Nana-Addo is doing today. And Kojo, if we were to do a simple analysis, if we were to juxtapose President Mahama's fight against corruption to what we are seeing today, in fact, the conduct of President Akufo-Addo and the MPP is angelizing President Mahama.
Okay. Well, let's very quickly listen to President Mahama in that last rally before we bring Nana in for some reactions. So here's former President Mahama speaking at the very final rally before the 2016 election.
What we face in this election is simple: to stay the course and forge on with determination and consolidate all the gains that we have made over the last 4 years, or to give up and begin again on another course of which we have no guarantees of success, but just the oral assurances of a small group of people. These are the two choices we face in the election on Wednesday. And it is for Ghanaians to make a determination which of the two they will choose. Ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, it must not be said that we cannot pursue a task to its logical end because we are lured by the
Former President Mahama there speaking before the last election. And we all know how that turned out. And coincidentally, the EU predicted that outcome as well. Nana, so I mean, this is this is an organization that has got it right in the past. They are saying in the next election, the NPP will win. President Akufo-Addo will remain president of Ghana. I'm so tempted to ask, surely you disagree?
I disagree, yes, with the NDC thinking that the EIU is wrong. But sure, I mean, and I think, you know, it's the sentence they use is that the next national elections are due in 2020. The Economist Intelligence Unit expects the ruling New Patriotic Party to retain power as the party is seen as a better custodian of the economy than the opposition NDC, the National Democratic Congress. For me, those are the key words. Those are the words that we work with. And so, do we get distracted with worrying about things that are supposed to be detractive? So detractors are pushing their agenda as opposed to getting Ghanaians to focus on what bright future we're proposing to them, humbly. For me, I think that when you're, let me put it this way in a personalized manner. My experiences in life showed me that when you're in America, for example, you watch American football, if you notice, every yard run by the team is praised and enjoyed. It is poco a poco. Every little thing you do matters. And in the process, you make mistakes. But the point is to win the match for the fans. In this case, Ghanaians, all Ghanaians, including the NDC, are supposed to benefit from the policies that Nana Akufo-Addo and his team put together and execute. That's what the EU is reporting. But the Ghanaian public, when they compare the two, and President Mahama, Mr. Mahama in his comment there, is basically making that offer, that judge us. And the Ghanaians judged with 1 million difference in votes. Now, what's the reality on the ground? They want to screen corruption because they think that is what will give them winning ways. But when you push them on the truth about it, then they start faltering. Let them enjoy themselves. I think that while, yes, perception works, when we put out the truth to Ghanaians, that perception that they want to push will falter. Now, in the last few weeks, we've had what people want to term scandals. But when you probe those things, what comes first of all, as far as the actions of the president, is the fact that he acted. He acted.
You can say that about the former president too.
How often? When we were probing his Brazilian, his Brazilian deal, when President Mills died, did he stop it or did he continue that probe? So do we know the result of that probe? This was about him. If you want to clear your government, clear yourself first so that the image is gone. I'm not accusing him of corruption. I'm saying there was a probe on him. What did he do about it to date to clear his name? That's the first big question. We tend to think that we've forgotten. We haven't forgotten.
But that can be asked about several of the appointees of the president as well.
No. Let's take it one at a time. Then the next question is this matter of Explorer, which went to Shraj. Shraj gave a comment. Okay, let's say that the system went there. But we ask, how is it that the Explorer got given in the first place? And then it is exported into Ghana, not defying all the laws and rules, into a carport. Really? We don't know what happened on the way. Why didn't it go through those things? So it raises questions.
But Shraj ruled on it. It went through the proper processes, something that the president would say about every corruption case
that vehicle, when the processes of probing by Shraj, I accept. But the details of that action, do we have it? If we do, please tell me.
Kind of like the cash for seats matter, isn't it?
Which one?
The cash for seats matter.
No, but what don't you know?
Well,
because the account was known. What else?
The parliament decided to look into it. And by the way, even at the parliamentary hearing, it was determined that, yes, indeed, these expatriates were asked to pay for proximity to the president and a dinner with him at a later date. That is access to the president. That was sold. It was determined by this committee. But at the end of that determination, they still found nobody culpable. Does that not surprise you?
But was there a corrupt act in that thing? That's the question.
Was there not? If you sell access to the president, is that not corruption?
Oh, how? Oh, come on. Where in the world doesn't this happen?
Oh, really?
No, doesn't it happen?
You sell it.
No, I'm saying.
So only those who can afford can have access to the president.
No. It was for a particular purpose. It hasn't said today. You can't tell me that when you want to go and see President Akufo-Addo, you have to pay.
No, but I may not. But I may not get to see him.
It was a fundraiser. You said you may not, but you've met him and asked him questions even publicly. So it was a fundraiser. Let's be truthful and honest with ourselves. It was a fundraiser. It wasn't a set fee that you always pay till date. It was for that particular event. It was a fundraiser.
So because of the limited time frame, it is not corrupt.
Where was the corruption? Did somebody pocket that money?
Okay. How about the bust issue? Committee was set up. All of a sudden, some other organization, I think it was BNI or somebody, comes along and says, "Oh, he's not culpable." And then matter die. To this day. Meanwhile, the thing was sold.
But have we taken steps to find out why? You see, the difference is this. When the thing comes out, the president takes action. That one you must give credit for. That's why I gave you the analogy of American football. That one you must give credit for. And it is at every point. At every point. Let's count it against President Mahama. Then the next thing is that he leaves it to the legal bodies to work. When he has taken his decisions based on his reports that he gets. But when there's been the case, for example, of CID and then the special prosecutor, the president hasn't said special prosecutor stop work. He hasn't. So for me, the point is, first of all, are we taking action? So all of those things are going. Now, on the real matters that make this EIU report.
Oh, just one more before we get to
Yes.
back to the EIU report, because when we get there, we won't come back. But Pius Hajide and the
What was
Australian.
wrong? What was wrong? People are creating things. What was wrong?
Okay, so this is what we know. This is what's in the public domain.
Yeah.
The CID boss,
Right.
in an answer to a question I asked her at a press conference, said that the CID was asked to specifically determine whether Pius Hajide was culpable.
Yeah.
Not to determine who did it, if not Pius Hajide.
Right.
So they did that and presented a report on that alone.
Yeah.
She also said in the same press conference that the investigation is not over.
Good.
They have to they have to do some interaction with the Australian authorities to get more information. Good. So the question is, if the investigation is not over, how do you clear people?
No. The man is working with somebody. That person, that somebody's credibility is directly on the line. He needs his work done. We argue about the number of ministers. He hired them so that they do work. So now they go and sit back, wait for an investigation that should take forever if that's what's going on, and then they don't do the work.
So what does that mean?
So I'm saying,
anybody who is accused must continue to work, so he will do an investigation to find out if that person is culpable.
Be fair to the facts.
And not to investigate the actual issue.
You see, be fair to the facts. You yourself said that the actual issue is still under investigation. That's what the woman told.
So how do you clear someone?
So in the process, but because the president asked for checking on the particular person, that's what happened.
Why did the president ask for that?
Why not?
Why not ask CID to simply investigate the
I'm
matter?
saying why not? Tell me why not? Why not ask for that?
Because that means the president's priority is whether or not his man is guilty, not who committed the crime, who disgraced Ghana.
How does that translate? He didn't say stop the thing. It doesn't work like that. Come on, Kojo. Be frank to yourself and the rest of us. It doesn't work like that. You need to get work done. You're working with Nana Fredia. Nana Fredia trips. And something breaks. But he can work, but you want to be sure he's not hurt. Or that doesn't bother you. You want to be sure. Well, come on. These are facts of the matter. So let's deal with the facts.
So if he had simply asked them to investigate the matter.
Did he say don't?
He said, tell me whether or not, give me a report on whether or not Pius Hajide is culpable.
Did he say don't investigate? These are truths we're dealing with. Did he say don't investigate? Did he say let's not work with that one?
So let me ask you this. Yeah. Imagine you are the CID. I'm sorry, we're taking a bit of time on this. Imagine you are the CID. Your job is to investigate
because
crime.
I've been itching to discuss this publicly.
Your job is to investigate crime.
Yes.
Now somebody gives you a directive.
Yeah.
A crime has occurred.
Yeah.
I want you to give me a report on whether person A did it.
Yes.
Give me a report on that alone.
Yeah.
So instead of going by the normal investigative methods, where however it is that they investigate crime, whether they are doing it by elimination or whether they are following clues or whatever, they have to put all that aside and simply focus on one person to determine whether that person. But that's what they did. The report that the CID sent to the executive was simply on Pius Hajide, on whether or not Pius Hajide was culpable.
You're putting words and your perceptions and your thinking.
Should we just listen to the CID boss?
No, that's not the point.
That should clarify it. We have her clip. We can play it.
No. Listen, you can play that one.
So it's not my words.
That one is your authority. It's your translation of those words that I'm arguing
the words.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying I can't even stop you from doing that. What I'm saying is, are you telling me that the president, so what is the purpose of them still continuing with the investigation?
Are they?
But that's what you said.
They've issued a report.
You also said that's what she said.
That's what the woman said.
The
boss of the CID. What she said was that they have issued a report on the investigation into Pius Hajide.
Yes.
So that has been concluded. The investigation into Pius Hajide has been concluded.
Right.
They say that it's going to take time for them to complete the rest of the investigation because they have to interact with blah, blah. So that means the investigation is not concluded.
Yes. That's what
How
you said.
did they clear Pius Hajide?
Why not?
No, how?
No,
I didn't say why. I said how.
Yeah. You see, first of all, let's get those who know to deal with these facts. Because when I speak, the spectacles you're looking through to me, or to see me and understand what I'm saying, is purely political. I'm saying. It is. Because we're dealing with truth here. But somehow that doesn't seem to work. The truth is that somebody is involved in something. You pick it. Pick his trail. Check. Was he in that trail? Yes. Did he do X, Y, Z? No. What about the rest? Work on it. I don't see how this is impossible. It is not impossible. Okay. And it's like how you are asked to write an essay on a particular topic. You do research, you pick certain things from different works to come to your...
All right.
So that works. Now, let's deal with the issues
in the report.
Yes.
Okay, just before we come to the report, if you don't mind, we have Dr. Kwesi Amakye-Boateng. He's a political scientist from KNUST. He's been on the line for a bit. But since we are now going to focus on the report, I'd like us to start with him.
That's exciting.
And then we'll come back in and talk more about the report. So, Dr. Amakye-Boateng, thank you very much for your time with us. No doubt you've had a chance to look through the report. It's categorical on who they think will win, based on perception of management of the economy. I wonder whether your analysis will bring you to the same conclusion.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let me say good morning to your cherished listeners. The issue as to who is winning, you realize that, yes, they come out quite categorically, but at the same time, it makes some sort of caveat. They end that particular segment, election watch, with this sentence. However, if the NDC can present a coherent opposition, blah, 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 the election could be closely contested. And you realize that what they also say, that the EIU believes that, they start by saying the campaign for the 2016 was dominated by a faltering economy, which many Ghanaians still associate with President Mahama. They have not done any survey. This is not a report of a survey. So how did they come to this position that many Ghanaians associate this with President Mahama? And then, as a result, the Economic Intelligence Unit believes that. So I have issues with the conclusion they are, making, simply because, in fact, they are sort of making their own deduction of information they have picked from the system and coming to a conclusion on that. And then their conclusion, they also turn around to weaken it. But what I really want to say is that their understanding of politics in Ghana, to me, is the issue, because politics is necessarily domestic. And I don't think Ghanaians translate issues that they use, what you call key indicators, real GDP growth, consumer price inflation, government balance, current account balance, money market rate, exchange rate, etc. But these do have real implications on citizens, on electorate. But what matters a lot has to do with what WCA said some time ago. What is happening to poverty? What is happening to unemployment? What is happening to inequality? Interestingly, this report is silent on some of these issues. But crucially, in 2016, corruption was a major factor that determined whether President Mahama was going to stay or not. And eventually, he didn't stay. And we realized that corruption has come back strongly. The report is silent on these things. So I have issues with the report. And what I'm saying is that their understanding of politics in Ghana is weak. So I don't think what they have put out, their conclusion, is anything that one want to work with.
All right, let me ask you about a couple of specifics, Dr. Amakye-Boateng. They make a prediction about how the cedi will behave over the next 4 years. And they say the cedi will remain prone to periods of volatility, given the country's exposure to movements in commodity prices. From an average of 4.58 Ghana cedis to $1 US in 2018, the currency will weaken to 6.47 Ghana cedis to $1 in 2023. And there's a table here where they are tracking the exchange rate throughout the next 4 years. Well, actually 5 years, starting from 2018. And for 2019, they've pegged it at 5.26. We're already above that. And then for 2020, they expect it to go as high as 5.87, 6.18 in the next year after that. 2022 will be 6.33, and in the last year, 2023, they expect the dollar to cost 6.47 cedis. Economically, how realistic is this prediction?
It's significant that some of their predictions, have been surpassed by the situation on the ground. Giving us an indication that you can't blame them. It takes some factors, put them together, and make predictions on the basis of that. And they are supposed to either go up a little or come back slightly. But
isn't this strange, Doc? This is a September report. 4th of September is when they issued it. If they had checked the exchange rate just before printing, they could have corrected that, couldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. But you see, they decided to come out with their predictions and not necessarily to capture the situation on the ground. So maybe that informs why they decided not to, pick the information directly from, what was pertaining here in Ghana. But then it has to mind the point I made that, the understanding of our politics is, to me, what is the weakest element in the report, because they did not emphasize issues that are crucial. It's bread and butter directly. And currently, the point that the gentleman there raised earlier on, matters related to unemployment, matters related to service personnel whose allowances haven't been paid, and all these things are happening currently now. So,
right.
Given that the report is silent on all these things, we realize that it is not a strong report at all.
Okay. It does, however, take into consideration corruption, which is an issue that you have said is key and was key in 2016. So this is what they say in the outlook for 2019 to 2023. Under political stability, after they have praised the stability of Ghana under the two major political parties, they also say this: corruption in the public sector remains endemic, however, and a source of concern among the population. Public appointments are often made on the basis of party affiliation. This is one explanation for an oversized government team comprising 123 ministers. However, there are fewer opportunities at the lower levels of politics, which may cause resentment among the party ranks and could depress voter turnout, as members at grassroots level play a key role in local campaigning. I know this veers off economics for a moment, but is this not a sound assessment of the climate?
Generally, yes. And I'm really at a loss if they were to factor this. But you see, fine, they capture the incidence of corruption in Ghana. Did they factor that into the analysis and come to the conclusion that they come to? I don't think so, because the statement put out there is that Nana Akufo-Addo appears or is viewed by Ghanaians as a better manager of the economy. So, given this particular statement, you get an understanding that they didn't factor corruption into the conclusion that they made, that on account of that, people are going to vote for this person, and this other person is not seen to be a good manager. So, yes, they do talk about corruption, all right, but then did they factor this point into the conclusion, the analysis, and then the eventual conclusion? I don't think they did. And I'd like to say that Kenyans, place a lot of a premium on this issue of corruption, if anything at all. It's been captured as a major challenge, facing the economy. Given the fact that the economy itself, the growth element in the economy they talk about come from oil. And so we can't praise the government for that.
Right.
And then taking loans too is nothing ingenious. So the economy itself, the other sectors that are supposed to grow have not been captured in here, telling me that they acknowledge that those areas are not making significant improvement. So
Right.
once again, the conclusions they make, I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to say they are flawed, but somehow I have issues with that.
Thank you for that insight. Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng is a political scientist with KNUST. Now, Mr. Aziz, I want to come to you now because we have about 15 minutes to wrap up. I want to hear both of you on the report, and then we'll touch on a couple of other headlines quickly before we go, so not a lot of time. But I want to put this to you. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
I see how politicians try to spin the numbers to look good for, for themselves. But numbers don't lie. When it comes to the performance of our economy, the key indicators, I'm afraid the numbers don't really favor John Mahama. When it comes to growth, inflation, this government has performed better. Even when it comes to the stability of the city, I'm not talking about the value, but the stability, how much it has fluctuated over time. Even there, this government has done better than John Mahama. So how do you dispute any of this when it comes to this conclusion that this party in government today has managed the economy better than the NDC did?
Kojo, the EIU is detached from the economic realities in this country. And so one can reasonably understand why that prediction. You are talking about macroeconomic indicators.
Macro.
They are just a means to an end and not an end in itself. How many of my constituents back in Myeong would understand whether the inflation rate is coming down or is going up? But what they do appreciate, what they do appreciate is how much they pay for a tin of milk, how much they pay for tomato, and how much they pay for all the goods that they purchase. And so I don't want us to go on that tangent. But in any case, if we were to compare the indicators under President Mahama, you may be interested in the end values. You may be interested at the end of 2016, when we are told that the GDP grew at some 3.6, 3.7%. You may want to compare that to some 7 to 8% growth that we have recorded. But if you were to interrogate them, you will realize that largely that growth that we are recording today is attributed to the upstream petroleum sector and not the real economy. And so, in fact, even if you want to use that one as a basis, when President Mahama was the head of the economic management team under President Mills, that was when we recorded the highest GDP growth in this country, about 14%. And so, if you want us to subject ourselves to that debate,
so what happened?
It may take us
after he stopped being the head of the economic management team and became president.
Even under him as president.
What happened?
Even under him as president, we recorded
declining
growth. We recorded growth, GDP growth, in the neighborhood of 8 to 9%.
We also recorded negative growth in agriculture.
I am telling you.
While he was president.
Oh, that is not strange if you want to look at the data. But I'm just telling you that we must be interested in real economic growth and growth that is induced by the oil and gas sector in this country. It is not for nothing that we have growth for the real economy and growth that is induced with the oil sector. It's not for nothing that we have that. But you see, Kojo, I am telling you that the Ghanaian public will not be interested in GDP growth moving from 3.6 to some 6.7, largely as a result of the oil sector that was superintended by President Mahama. The Sankofa, Jubilee, these are all investments that were superintended by President Mahama.
So let me tell you something. The new government should also take credit for those, right? The new fines and the new oil fields that have
the report that we are speaking to indicates that President Akufo-Addo would win because the economy would grow at a higher level and that it is going to be influenced largely by the oil and gas sector. How many Ghanaians are involved in the upstream petroleum sector? How many Ghanaians involved? What is the impact on them? what Ghanaians are interested in is that, for instance, the collapsing national health insurance, because we and I know that funding to health insurance has been capped. We and I know that about 300 million Ghana cedis of the health insurance fund is now used to pay for allowances of nursing trainees. We and I know that Get Fund contractors have not been paid since President Mahama left office. We and I know that road contractors on several occasions have demonstrated in this country for non-payment of their bills. Are you okay? These are contractors with families, either Get Fund contractors, either road fund contractors. These are people with families, and they would assess President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo based on how they have been handled. They are interested. They are interested. The Ghanaian public are interested about the over 20,000 Ghanaians who have lost their jobs simply because President Akufo-Addo has decided to use 23 billion Ghana cedis to collapse the banking sector. These are issues that the public are more interested in.
That figure is disputed, by the way.
No. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
You give us 15 minutes.
It will get your turn.
Ghanaians
are worried about the level of insecurity that under President Akufo-Addo, with the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the chairman of the Police Council, our security has deteriorated to the extent that uniformed policemen are killed in broad daylight. These are the issues that will inform the Ghanaian public on who to vote for.
We
are living in a country where they have borrowed
government as well.
We are talking about a government that has borrowed over 80 billion and yet cannot point to a 3-classroom block for that. Ghanaians will look at these issues and elect an effective president.
Okay, Mr. Aziz, thank you for that. Just before, because I know you want to react to these specific issues, I'd like to add one more so that you can add them all together because of our time. So some major risks are also mentioned in the report, risks to this outcome. They say that if Ghana suffers a major terrorist attack, for example, that would have a very high impact on this possible outcome of the NPP winning the election. Land transactions, if they fall through at a substantial financial cost, if people lose money over land deals, that can also affect the election. Closer ties with neighboring Cote d'Ivoire could affect it in a positive way, yield some major benefits, but that's a moderate impact, not a high impact like the first two. And finally, companies ending up with a higher tax burden in spite of national cuts to tax rates. That also will have a moderate impact. But that really has it's a real possibility here. So my question is, and to add to the issues you are going to deal with, how is government mitigating these risks?
Now, I need to take note of this. In my previous submission, you asked me more questions than I got a submission in. And then now, my time is limited because you gave us 15 minutes and more than half of that is gone. So let me just go through what I have to go through. What is at stake now? The EIU report, for me, the positive thing about it is that it's allowing us to talk and go away from the chaff. The chaff is when untruths are spewed so that we can deal with the realities of life. Is our economy solely dependent on oil? Is government policy directed at oil? It's not true. What are our realities on the ground? First of all, a lot of things had gone bad. The details keep coming out every now and then. There are some real indicators that show. The gentleman raised some questions about unemployment. He himself was not able to tell us what the facts are on the ground. Employment is going on. Over the last 2.5 years of this government, serious employment is going on. If you go to Forestry Commission, they're hiring thousands of people. Over 60,000 people have been employed. If you go to this NAPCO arrangement, it's working. People have been employed. If you go to educational system, thousands of people, even within the Arabic educational system, over 3,000 people have been employed. So all that is going on. Why? When people get jobs, they don't tend to come out to say, I don't have a job. Right? So let's go and find out whether what I'm saying is true. Now, on the agricultural front, have we seen real growth on the ground because of policies that have been taken? Yes. So those are the issues. Let me give you some star performers. They may not be totally national, but they are indicators. Go to Intercity STC, for example. What Nana Komi and his team have been able to achieve there and how it is positively affecting our economy. They've been able to acquire new buses because they're giving better service and offering better things. Go and check those things out. It's happening. It's being affected on the ground or affected. Go to the railway sector. They don't sit in Accra. Jogati and his team, they go out into the country. Let's go to those places and find out whether things aren't happening. When they get, when they're going through your town, they employ your people. So that's what's going on there. These are realities. These are
those who are not doing well, by the way. Let's be fair.
Why? Why? Nobody's going to argue. But sanitation.
Gender, children, social
But
protection.
you see, sanitation. Well, on what level is it struggling? Because we need to be clear.
Are you going to dispute?
No, yeah. Why not? Okay. No, you see, I'm saying that's why I'm happy about
Accra,
this.
the cleanest city in Africa yet.
If it hasn't happened, are there not factors? But the reality is that if you put in a minister and his or her team, in this case her team, and the rest of us do not cooperate, educated people dumping things in the middle of the street. So, and I just say that just to highlight how, not to say that uneducated people are dirty people, but to say that you expect that if for nothing, we're supposed to understand the effect. So all of that. So we're talking about serious issues that have happened. He began to highlight free SHS. Really, when you're making a savings in people's pockets, you're re-injecting the economy with the money that they put together in their taxes and what have you. So over 1.2 billion gets injected when students go back to school this time. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. And so it's real. And we should not think that Accra is Ghana. The address is not Ghana, Accra. It's Accra, Ghana. And let's go out into the country and find out whether things aren't happening. It is not to say that there aren't things that aren't happening that we must ask for. And why? If you like, let's go to President Akufo-Addo and find out whether he will not be the first to say that you should ask for him for those things. So, on the scale of realities, is Mr. Mahama a better manager of the economy?
Yes.
Is the NDC a better manager of the economy? When the reality is that they had opportunity to do all this. They took over $700 million in some kind of loans to put up medical facilities. Today they're screaming we should do stuff. What did they do with the money? They squandered it so that they were only able to put up 2. And even that one, look at the issues. Let's go and find out the facts. So now, when you leave the burden of a new government to now try and put up the rest of the facilities that you failed to put up because you squandered the money, then you turn around and because, you know, there's a tree thing about you go to the top of the hill, muddy the water and come out and scream, hey, the water is muddy. That's what they do. Let's go and find out the truth and the facts and tell Ghanaians. These are realities on the ground. They cannot deny it. There are a whole lot of things going on that when you want to talk about...
We've been in power for 3 years, so...
No, why?
You can't level allegations
if you notice, I'm telling you that we're doing positive things.
No.
You're the one who's busy trying to find negative
money.
things.
Because
you are
there
not
isn't
busy.
enough time. I want you to stay on your
yes, I'm very focused. You're
in power for 3 years,
I'm not focused. You know, there's a talk about NHIS. What was the state of affairs of NHIS when we took
Better
government?
than today.
What was the state of affairs of NHIS when we took government? Massive debts outstanding.
Same today.
But what you do is that you stabilize the economy, then you start working on the rest. That is true. It's happening now. Right now, why? The debts will be there, but is it in the same state? No, it is not true.
I'm telling you on authority.
On the matter of Get Fund,
I can get it from you.
Have you been to Get Fund to find out what they left behind? They signed contracts into the future that were not going to exist. Let's go to Get Fund and find out. Let's go and ask them exactly what kind of things we're talking about and the problems they've left there. These are issues that we should
fix them.
They're being fixed. So
that's why elected. Stop complaining.
You see, that is why
and stop propaganda. Fix them.
The EIU will tell you that for now, your Ghanaians don't want you.
Broken,
and that's fine.
Fix it.
Now, here's the other thing. They're busy trying to distract attention from their reality. Their reality is that they never offer solutions. They never take advantage of their opportunity to serve Ghanaians. They serve themselves and their interests. They never speak positively to the Ghanaian, always insulting, saying all kinds of things that they think
they accuse you of doing the same.
Why?
Invectives.
I said, do you remember the thing I said about muddying the water? That's what they do. So they'll come back and say, hey, look who's muddying the water. Meanwhile, they are the ones.
But you
look at the last press conference that Mr. Mosquito did, the last one. Half of it invectives and the real substance he couldn't tell us.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Nothing. That's how they go.
Not true.
What has he said today?
That's not true.
What has he said today? So let's deal with policy.
I have spoken
for food and jobs.
of job losses.
He should tell us how weak that policy is if he thinks it's weak.
Okay.
He should tell us exactly where it has gone wrong.
A second, I'll tell you.
He should also give us analysis of what it has done positively for us. And then let's see whether he's thinking about Ghanaians.
I'll tell you.
This free SHS thing, what is our reality now about free SHS?
Well, subjecting our kids.
It is not.
It's a mess.
It's a massive cost, and it is still.
Is it a bad thing? To have a cost that you are taking children to school?
I don't think anyone in this country will say that free SHS is a bad thing. I've never heard them say that.
Go back and check. They said we shouldn't do it for 20 years.
You remember that was before it was done.
That was before.
Who said so?
And then when it was being done, what happened? Let us not pretend as though these are not facts that we must hold them for. First of all, they must apologize for not having that foresight. That's why I made the previous accusation.
You didn't start fixing
they should stay on telling us exactly what they should tell us. He couldn't do that. Now, we're talking about PDS. What is the effect of that? For me, if there is going to be a discussion on free SHS, right now what we should be worried about is, okay, so what's the next level? What is the next best thing that's going to help us? And then those are the things for me that should be put on the table and asked questions on.
Right.
Because they do not have new ideas. They don't know what is going on. All they're concerned about is their pocket.
On free
All they're concerned about is what they suffer from. They have people on their teams who have never worked in their lives before, and they come and tell Ghanaians that there's no way.
For
because they were waiting for people to dish out money from
cost this nation about 9.6 billion.
They were chopping money. They were sacked from office for chopping money. You were sacked from office.
It's getting.
My brother, you were sacked from
the
office
corruption
for
clearing
chopping
agent.
money.
That's what the corruption clearing agent is doing. That is what the corruption clearing agent is doing. That is what the corruption clearing agent is doing.
Akufo-Addo, speaking for the NPP, and Member of Parliament for Mio, Mr. Aziz, Mr. Mohammed, speaking for the NEC.